Hey folks, today we're going to be taking a quick look at a CyberPowerPC C-Series gaming desktop that we recently got in the shop. Now this one is AMD based, and I'd say in my opinion it's probably more along the entry-level category of gaming desktops. But I'll give you a quick look at the actual specs on this configuration, and then we'll take a look at the chassis on the outside and the inside and get you all those details. So let's take a look first here at the specs. I've just got it hooked up to an external monitor. So you can see this one is AMD based. It's got the Ryzen 7 3700X 8-core processor clocking in at 3.6 gigahertz. 16 gigs of RAM there, and this one right now has Windows 10 Home on it. And if we go over here to the device manager, you can get a quick look at the different disk drives. So you've got I think it's a 256 SSD from Lexar here. And then in addition, you've got a conventional 2 terabyte from Western Digital. Then you've got for the graphics card, the AMD Radeon RX 5700. And then moving down here, if you want to look at the network adapters and freeze and pause the video, feel free to do so. Of course, you can see the Ryzen 7 processor all expanded there. So again, here are the different disk drives. So your boot drive is of course the SSD, and then your additional 2 terabyte storage is going to be right there. And then you can see the wireless there is built in. It looks like we must be missing the antenna on the back. We'll take a look, but that signal's pretty weak, so that's my guess there. But let's take a look at the chassis itself there. So, you know, zooming out here, you can see it does have some different LED lights on it. And I'm not as familiar with this particular model, so I'm not sure if those colors are configurable or if it's just going to kind of rotate amongst those different colors, kind of in a prism mode right now where they're all rotating at different rates through the colors. You'll notice that none of them are the same color at the same time. So again, I'm not sure if that's configurable. In fact, if you own this system or have a friend that has one and you know, definitely drop us a note in the comments below there. But it does have this nice light going down the front here, and then you've got your fan light on the rear there, then your processor, your cooler as well. And so all those are lit up. And then if we pan around to the other side of the front, you can see it has 2 more additional fans that have those same LEDs, and it's actually on both sides, on the inside and outside of the fans there. And same thing on this one on the back. So they're really all the same there. So a decent amount of curb appeal when you look at this desktop with all those lights running. And of course, I've got the tempered glass panel over here taken off the system here, and on the other side I'll show you that when we get there, but it's just a flat black metal panel on that side. So that gives you an idea of kind of what that case looks like. You know, I mean, it's got some nice lines here that give it a little bit of interest. Otherwise it's pretty plain. This is feels like it could be potentially metal. You know, my first instinct was to say it was some kind of plastic with a brushed finish, but it feels cold to the touch here, which makes me think it might actually be some kind of alloy. But it definitely has a nice brushed look to it that kind of gives it a little bit nicer appeal compared to just something that's plastic, you know, looking. Otherwise, the rest of this all is plastic, I'm quite sure. It does have a little bit of ventilation down here. Wow, lots of dust in this particular system. And then this one kind of sits up a little bit on some feet, some legs there. So I like that. It gives it some good ventilation then on the bottom. And then you've got your little logo there from the manufacturer. Then going up to the top here, you can see where the actual kind of metal enclosure begins right here, where the plastic bezel on the front stops. Got your basic power button on the front here. And actually this one, it's not really labeled. I don't know if it wore off at one point, but I don't really see a label. But that is the power button. Then you've got your reset here. You've got 2 LEDs for the power, and then when the hard drive is being written to, of course, you've got your mic, headphone, 2 USB 2.0 ports, and then 1 3.0 port there on top. And then pretty typical nowadays, you're going to have that kind of magnetic mesh here. It looks like the magnets are coming loose on this one. But yeah, pretty typical to have this on the top to be able to clean it and catch a little bit of dust there, open it up if you want to. So that runs pretty much the full length of the top there, and otherwise it's pretty much rectangular going all the way back there. So that pretty much covers what's going on here on the front. Again, give you a quick close-up view of that LED bar kind of running down the side. You can definitely make out the different LEDs as they're changing colors. I mean, it's not as smooth as some other LEDs I've seen where you don't see the individual colors, the different LEDs changing colors. I mean, you can see them as they change there. All right, let's take a look at the side here. Let me rotate it a little bit so we're more squared up and give you an idea of what that looks like. So it looks pretty clean. Those are my initial thoughts. When you look at here, you know, the cable management looks like it's pretty well done, and just the colors of the components that they chose inside, I mean, everything looks pretty clean looking there from the side. So that's definitely nice, especially when you have one with a glass panel. Makes everything look real nice. But let's take a look at the inside. In fact, I'm gonna flip this on its side here so we can see it a little bit better in the light there. There we go. All right, so of course you've got your power supply in the back here, and I'll give you a view of the back when we get there. And then tucked down underneath here, all this ventilation is gonna be your storage, where your hard drive and SSD is. So I'll try to get you a shot of that when I flip it up from the other side. But you can see the motherboard there inside. It's gonna be the ASRock motherboard, and with the graphics card installed, there's only one extra PCI slot down there. So it's kind of interesting because on the chassis, it's got several ports. You can see expansion slots in the back, but really you can only make use of one of them there with this particular motherboard that's installed. You can see the bottom of the graphics card there, real clean and simple, real nice fan there on the bottom to give some good ventilation. And then moving up to the top, you can see the memory chips. It looks like this one has the XPG memory chips in this one. And then you can see it's the, for the motherboard there, I'm just seeing now the model in there. It is the B550AM Gaming from ASRock. All right, and then there's your processor, of course, fan on top of that. And then all your ports and everything that are integrated behind that bezel, that ASRock trim bezel there. All right, so pretty straightforward, pretty simple motherboard, not a whole lot going on there. And then let's take a look here going up to the top so you can see the underside of those buttons that we saw on the top here. So that's what those look like there, a little circuit board for the USB ports and such. All right, this one's got a lot of dust in it, I can say. So I mean, it's definitely could be cleaned up a little bit. And then you've got your fan out the back for more ventilation. So, you know, definitely like how they've got lots of honeycomb patterns, you know, different angles here on the expansion slots, lots of ventilation for sure. So it's definitely a good quality to have in a chassis. And then while I've got it on its side, I'll give you a closer look at what those feet look on the bottom and the ventilation there. So this is really unique. You know, a lot of chassis don't have these nice feet to kind of elevate the casing. So I do like that on this particular unit. And then it looks like it's got a, yeah, it looks like a removable, kind of like a filter panel here. So you can also slide that off if you want to. And you can see how much dust kind of got caught up in there with the power supply and the fan in there. So that's kind of a nice feature they put on the bottom there. It slides in and out real easy. Kind of locks into place there. But let's flip it back up and take a look at the other side. And then I'm also noticing this bracket here, which I kind of skipped before. And so this, I would imagine, could be used perhaps, I'm guessing, and y'all watching, you let me know if I'm wrong here, but I'm thinking maybe if it had a different motherboard with more PCI expansion slots, maybe that bracket would be used to support perhaps, you know, a bigger card down there. It looks like, I don't think it really could be used for storage unless there's a piece missing there. So yeah, definitely if you know what that is, let us know in the comments below. But let's flip it around here to the other side, and I did take the panel off. Again, it's just a standard steel flat black panel. But you can see nice cable management. I always like a good clean case when all the cables are kind of hidden and they're all tie wrapped and organized. Looks just real nice and clean there. You can see it does have, it looks like 2 spots here for 2.5-inch SSDs that could be put in there. And for some reason, the manufacturer chose to put the SSD back in here. So you can see that's that I think it was a 256 Lexar that was down in there, and then below the 2 terabyte conventional. So it looks like it only has room for one 3.5-inch drive in this particular configuration. I mean, maybe if you got rid of the 2.5-inch SSD on top, maybe there'd be a way for you to stack a second 3.5-inch down there, but I don't see a housing or a mount provision from CyberPowerPC to do that. So you'd have to kind of rig your own mount there to secure another 3.5-inch drive. All right, but yeah, it's kind of nice how they got those SSDs up there. It looks like the brackets are all ready to go there to add on to your drives. And then you can see the back side of the power supply. So it looks like this one is a 600-watt power supply. And let's rotate around to the back side and give you a look at what all that looks like here. So if you want the full model, all that information, you can pause it right there. Again, this one is the C-Series. And so here's all the built-in ports on the motherboard. And yep, we are missing those Wi-Fi antenna that would explain why the signal was so weak there. You do have your basic PS2 ports for mouse and keyboard. USB, looks like these are going to be your standard USB ports. And it looks like same down here. This one is labeled a 3.2, and then it looks like you do have a USB-C port as well. So that's nice. And then of course your Ethernet, and then your audio, integrated audio ports there, and HDMI as well. All right, you can see the back side of that fan. So it does have an LED on both sides. Nice big open ventilation there. And then, all right, so I'm just noticing here, I was noticing these expansion slots right here. So that makes more sense. So this bracket then is going to correspond to if you were to use these expansion slots and mount something. So that makes more sense. Sorry about that, folks, for missing that earlier. And then you can kind of go down and see where the power supply connects there. Lots of good ventilation down at the bottom. All right, so that kind of gives you an idea of what the back of the casing looks like. And that kind of brings us back full circle to the other side of the computer. So do me a favor, folks, if you're watching this, let me know 3 things that you like about this CyberPowerPC C-Series and 3 things that you dislike about this particular unit. I hope these close-up views are helpful. For those who don't know, JBrokers is a risk-free secondhand marketplace, and so we buy and sell all kinds of gadgets, items just like this custom desktop right here. And so if you're looking to sell something, we're a great choice, a great alternative to such a Facebook marketplace or selling yourself on eBay or classifieds, right? Where there's lots of risk and hassle that you're exposed to. And so if you're not interested in dealing with all that and you just want cash in your pocket, then JBrokers is a great choice for you. There's 2 things that our customers absolutely love about our service. And the first one is we always pay the agreed upon amount for the agreed upon item, always. No bait and switch gimmicks. And then secondly, we always send out payments on the next business day after we receive your items, rain or shine. So definitely check us out at jaybrokers.com. That's JAY brokers.com. Thanks for watching.